We go. Let's go live in 3, 2, 1, and we are live. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Monday Night Live. It is 8 p.m., December 11th, 2023. We actually have quite a bit to talk about for a change, and we're definitely going to get right into it. We're going to start off by saying hello to a few folks, letting some few others join us tonight. Starting off with the half-disc water vapor, one of my favorite satellite shots. And yeah, we'll digest exactly what's going to happen because we have two systems on a collision course for the Sunshine State. And I do believe that's exactly what's going to help to ramp up our threat for severe weather activity over the next couple of days, especially as we get into this weekend, possibly early next week. So we'll get started here in a moment. Let's say hello to some folks in the chat. Let's see, who do we got? We've got, I see Sharon. I see Nomad Cat 4. Hello. Daha. Hello. Good to have you joining us. Jamal, welcome in. Got a couple new folks in here tonight. Very nice. Very good to see. Carmen, hello there. Thank you so much for joining us. Nomad Cat 4, welcome back. Welcome back. Let's see, who else do we have? Todd R4824, welcome in. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us tonight. Mr. Florida Brian. Brian, welcome in. Good to see you back here. Corbin, same to you. Who else? Matt F150, thank you very much for joining us this evening. Glad to see you in the chat, buddy. Good, appreciate to see you taking advantage of the live tonight. Been traveling, so I've missed you. Sharon, yeah, you've been kind of AWOL for a while. It's definitely great to have you back. Thanks for joining us tonight, and I hope your travels have been wonderful. Clearly, the way it goes without saying they've been safe because you're back in business, thankfully. Let's see, how close are we? Welcome in. I know you have a question for me. I haven't forgotten. Dark Earth, hello there. Mick and Marley, howdy. Thanks for joining us. Harrison YT, Stephanie Boynton, hello. Redbird, welcome in. All right, guys, we're going to get started here in a moment. Lisette Martinez, thank you very much for joining us. Hello there. Thank you. Good to see we have a lively bunch tonight. It's nice to see the chat popping off again. For a little while there, the chat was kind of quiet. I was getting a little discouraged, but we have a lively bunch this evening. It's great to start the weekend off. Carolyn, welcome in. Hashtag Florida, hashtag weather. Yes, sir, definitely. Nice to see old and new friends. I agree. Yeah, definitely an interesting group we have with us tonight, and at the right moment as well, because we definitely have a lot to go over. Right now, this is what we're looking at in terms of our big picture pattern. So here is that frontal system that just passed through us within the last 24 hours that brought us some pretty significant squall activity last night. Not too much in the way of significant winds, but we definitely saw some really good rain and thunderstorm activity along the leading edge of this front, and this is number one in terms of what kind of precursors are setting up to become ingredients for what's expected to take shape probably sometime around Thursday, Friday, and then finally work its way in come Saturday and potentially even Sunday. This up and through here over the western quadrant or the northwestern quadrant of the United States, this right in there is going to be our system that is on a collision course with the southeast. This is going to be our next divot in the upper trough or in the upper level pattern, the jet stream. This is our polar front getting ready to trough across the western half of the country, and that's what's expected to collide with what we have in terms of our subtropical jet moving across the south. It is now 100% oriented in an El Nino fashion. We now have that subtropical jet or that low latitude jet screaming across the Gulf in west to east fashion directly over top the peninsula, and I think that's exactly why we have our systems getting ready to do battle and collide, unfortunately, right along the Gulf coastline and through the central Florida state. And honestly, folks, the ensembles are very reminiscent of something we would see for the tropical season. It's been very impressive. Let me adjust my camera a little bit. I'm using my regular mic, and I don't understand why, but I like to hunch into it for some reason. So I'm going to try to stay on the camera as clear as I possibly can. But yeah, this is what we have setting up. We have another very strong system that's pushing through. This system right here, now a nor'easter pumping snow and residual rain shower activity for the northeast and the eastern Canadian provinces, killed people. It killed, I believe, a little over half a dozen folks, to include an unfortunate child. I was watching a live stream by Reed Timmer, one of my favorite storm chasers, earlier, and he was discussing what happened in Tennessee and Kentucky over the last 24 hours, and unfortunately, some of the lives lost. One of them was a young child, unfortunately. That definitely hit the heartstrings, and that's exactly why I shared on my Instagram page. If you don't follow me, I shared a video And I said, just because tropical season is over doesn't mean we can suddenly flip the calendar and turn weather off. We need to remain as diligent and as dedicated in our viewership, whether it be the analyst or the viewer, or regardless, it's a quid pro quo kind of relationship. We need to stay ahead of this stuff. Just because hurricane season is over doesn't mean we're not in another season. And that's terrible because, warnings went out, there were watches, there was information being passed around, but, unfortunately we can't win the battle all the time. And it just goes to show we have lessons to take away from it and keep pushing and keep doing better every chance we get to improve. So this system here is, in fact, a killer, sadly to say, and I don't think that's going to be the last of them, not for a long stretch. So we have to remain vigilant, especially with what could be transitioning and taking shape down here in the state of Florida. I definitely stand firm in my belief that I do believe we're going to see that severe weather threat transition from the Gulf Coast, from the Mid-Atlantic down into our own backyards here in Central Florida, especially with what I see forming up. That's for sure. So these are our 18Z GFS ensembles. And like I said, guys, check this out. You take this through time, and this is something you see during hurricane season. Look at these ensemble members here. General thinking is we're going to have something between 980 millibars and sub 1,000 millibars crossing the peninsula. And there's a new ensemble in here that actually has a 960 to a 979 low. Now, remember, this isn't tropical, but this is very extravagant to see because these are some very strong ensemble members for the GFS, and the Euro doesn't exactly backpedal on this either. We switch over to our Euro ensembles, and I know this is a little farther away. We can't really see it as well, but if you look in the Gulf of Mexico, very, very good agreement that we're going to have some kind of 1,000 or a sub 1,000 millibar low pressure coming right across the state. And if you guys hearken back to October, for my folks who were watching during the October time frame, this is exactly what we saw before our own tornado outbreak in the state of Florida. So we have a lot of very similar dynamics, a lot of very similar signs and symptoms beginning to show up. So we definitely have a lot of ground to cover this week. I'm glad that I'm free and back in business to talk about all this just in time for the main event, if you will. A lot of the ensembles here on the Euro, if you look, we have cyclogenesis somewhere to our southwest or to our due west in the Gulf. And then the thinking or the general consensus is we're going to have something moving through between the 17th and the 18th of December is what the Euro's thinking. So possibly a Sunday into Monday type of event. GFS is still a little on the early side. If you look at these ensembles, we're thinking that it'll be Saturday night into Sunday morning. We'll have something pretty vigorous crossing the state. So we'll have to keep an eye on it. We're going to see exactly what takes shape and exactly what the timing looks like once we see something to begin to take shape out here. At least we know where it is we need to watch. Right in through this general area, whether it forms in the Yucatan Channel between the peninsula and Cuba or somewhere in the south central Gulf of Mexico, we can take a little bit of lead time in terms of when it is expected to develop. Our 18 Zulu GFS does not look any more promising at all in terms of what we've been seeing. So here's our frontal line. Here's what we have going on. There's the front that had just passed through. We have our very strong prevailing easterlies that are coming through the Gulf of Mexico. Wow, the Caribbean Sea, out of the Atlantic, across the Bahamas, and that return flow associated with a high pressure just to the east of where Bermuda sits. There's Bermuda. Or no, excuse me, that's not Bermuda. Bermuda is over here. But still, nonetheless, just to the east of Bermuda is helping to funnel in a lot of our tropical air and our warm air across the Atlantic and the Caribbean. That's what's going to help that front start to retreat back into the Gulf of Mexico. And at the same time, if you look over the United States, very similar to what we've been seeing for the last several weeks now, I've said it a bunch of times. You can go back and copy and paste my statements. Oklahoma and Texas Panhandle, we have another baroclinic system trying to get going right in that same general area. But look at this 1039 high over the mid-Atlantic states. So what that's going to do is allow this system to kind of spill a little bit further to the south, closer to the Gulf of Mexico coastline. And as these two systems interact, check out what happens. So you can see we are on that collision course. Here goes our cyclogenesis. And you know what? I'm honestly, because of these dueling systems and the fact that we're really not going to allow whatever this thing is to fully organize and manifest itself, I almost want to argue that because of our hot waters in the Gulf of Mexico still, this could possibly be a subtropical cyclone trying to organize on the tail end of that front. It just doesn't have an opportunity to get moving because we have this other baroclinic system coming across the south and the Gulf Coast that's going to collide with it, and they're going to merge. And that's exactly why we have such a vigorous, broad area of low pressure that crosses the state. I mean, look at that, guys. 1,001 millibars, 995, 992, 992, 994, and it continues to surge up the eastern coastline. This is going to be a big system, and this has been the general consensus with all of our operational models for the last several days. You see it in the ensembles. It's definitely there. This is going to be a major event. This is definitely going to be a big-time event, and if you guys are watching right now, I would suggest you hold off on putting a whole lot of faith in what your local television networks are currently advertising, because we're still a little ways out. However, we are not afraid in the Weather Center and other sources to explore possibilities, even being about 5 to 6 days away from the main event, Ground Zero, because I've been hearing, and I think someone dropped a comment earlier as well, that their local news or their local weather authority is saying that it's just going to be a rainy day or a rainy weekend. And I can definitely tell you guys, looking at this setup, there's going to be a lot more than rain going on down there. I mean, look at that hellacious line of thunderstorm activity and heavy rainfall that the GFS is predicting. And you could see the clashing of our different systems here. Here is our 528 thickness line, and you can track these thicknesses through. Here's our 552 line. So we have cold air surging in on the backside of this weak baroclinic low, this polar front jet low that's getting absorbed by this subtropical system right here. And that's what I'm calling it. It is a subtropical entity. I agree with, where did I see it? Yeah, Nomad Cat 4, I agree. This is riding the subtropical jet. It's surging to the north with all that warm air advection, so it's a warm core feature mixing with our temperature discontinuity brought on by the PFJ, the polar front jet. So this is definitely a subtropical dynamic low. It's evolving, and that's also what makes it very sinister in the way it behaves. So just take a look at that. That's incredible. And if I switch over to the 850 millibar winds, it doesn't get any prettier. Just take a look at that very aggressive low-level jet that we have surging in from the east-southeast across the state, right up against the coastline. And it only gets much stronger. Look at this. As it continues through, we're going to have very strong winds up the mid-Atlantic and southeastern coastline. I mean, we have a very, very aggressive low-level jet moving across South Carolina and especially Georgia. So this could be a very, very extended event for a lot of people, with Florida taking the first brunt of it. And the Euro doesn't look any more pleasant. Right here, I love looking at 850 and 700. At 850 and 700, it paints the picture vividly. If you hear people advertising that it's a low that's forming up, no. What's happening is we have a clashing of different storm systems, and the vorticity does an excellent job of highlighting this, and that's why I think we might have to elevate the threat in terms of what it is we might be seeing here. So take a look at this. This looks very subtropical, very consolidated right there in the south central Gulf, but then take a look up here over Texas. So there's two distinct low height centers and vorticity couplets that we're monitoring, and that's exactly what I think is going to collide. And they're going to create pretty intense activity across the southeast, and unfortunately, particularly for us here in the Sunshine State. So there you have it. As I go a little further in time, we still have two distinct systems getting absorbed by one another. This is the dominant of the two, and look at how it stretches out during this interaction. And then finally, right over top Florida, look at how intense that. I don't even have words, truthfully. I really don't even have words. That's just a very, very, I'm running out of adjectives here. That's a dangerous setup. Like, that's a very aggressive system. I don't really know how else to put it. You switch over to the Euro, and the Euro shows the same thing. Let me go back to 12Z so we can go out further in time. We have our two distinct systems. So this one has it forming a little further to the south, coming right out of the Western Caribbean, kind of in the same general area that Idalia formed up. And this takes a very reminiscent path to a lot of the hurricanes we've seen crossing up like so. And then here's our baroclinic system, or our polar front jet supported system, moving into the Gulf of Mexico. And again, the Euro does an outstanding job of highlighting these two becoming one. And just look at how ridiculous that goes off the charts as it passes over Florida. So both of our big heavy hitter models are thinking something huge is headed our way, and it's going to be a direct hit for Florida, the peninsula anyways. And I'm going to go over to College of DuPage real fast because that model does an excellent job of highlighting how intense the Euro is even thinking our thunderstorm activity could get. I'll switch back to 12 Zulu. And the reason I like going to College of DuPage is, for example, if I come back over here and go to the precip, you can see that the Euro is definitely thinking something very strong, but the colors kind of merge together. And if we take a look at the European model on here, it does a much better job of showing all that very intense thunderstorm activity. Watch this. And then there you go. Look at that. That looks almost very reminiscent to a right front quadrant in a tropical system. Now, obviously, this isn't tropical. I can show you that there's very, very good temperature advection with this. This is definitely a frontal system, definitely jet supported. Might have some subtropical characteristics with it, but look at that. That's an incredible kind of thunderstorm activity that we're looking at for much of South and Central Florida. And if we come over to the total precip accumulation and go through that, look at this. Very, very heavy rainfall for much of the south and eastern half of the state. I mean, right in through here, look at that. It's another reason I like this website. I can mouse over it and we can get total amounts. That's 10 inches of rain for Brevard and Osceola County. Down in the southwest, we're looking at upwards of 7 to 8 inches. Down near the Fort Lauderdale, Miami area, going up to 8, 9 inches maybe in some areas. So there's going to be a lot of rain with this. A lot of rain. So already we're highlighting some severe parameters. We haven't even started to look in terms of what our tornadic potential and what our gust potential looks like. We already can tell that we have a severe rain event on its way. So we can definitely already put in the potential for some very good localized flooding in some lower lying areas in South and Central Florida. So we definitely have to keep up with this and watch it as we go over the next several days. If you switch over to the Canadian model, the 12Z Canadian model looked a little less aggressive. Definitely looking at more of a South Florida event with that low not really materializing until much later. It'll pass over Florida as a very weak entity and then finally blossom into something very powerful, deepening down to 980 millibars and even further than that as it becomes the next off-the-coast nor'easter. And I'm pretty sure the icon is ebbing and flowing with that very well. Yeah, look at the icon. This is the 18Z icon on December 16th, 18Z, 2 p.m. on Saturday. Seeing cyclogenesis in the same general spot as the European model. I've noticed even during hurricane season, the icon and the Euro are like this. They're like buddy-buddy. Because if you look at the icon, same typical thinking. Icon's a little weaker. We have our merging of systems, but it comes right over Florida and gives us quite a bit of rainfall before deepening down even further than that and riding the east coast of the United States. So, yeah, I mean, some very big-time weather activity expected here. This is 850 millibars on the Euro, and that definitely looks tornadic, looking at this strong channeling of mid-level winds over the state. Yeah, Ethan, I know that's your area too, so up to 10 inches of rain, according to the Euro. Could this be a repeat of the system that we had earlier this winter season for South Florida? Are you talking about the no-named storm that we thought was like subtropical storm Vince? Because I do think so. In fact, I'm very, very eager to see what our high-res model data does with this thing as we get closer in time. I don't think any of the models are going to go out far enough for us to see it just yet. We can try. How far out does the FV3 go? 60 hours. So nope, we're not seeing it just yet. I wanted to say there was one model in here somewhere that goes out a number of days, but I can't find it. Let's just go through all of them right now while we're on the stream. Was it the NAM, the NCEP NAM maybe? Was it this one? Let's see, Southeast. Because I know I was looking at it during that last system that threw. Aha, here we go. Okay, maybe we can go out far enough to see something. Nope, never mind. This is Friday morning, early Friday morning, so even the NAM doesn't go out far enough just yet to catch it. Let's see the WRF. Will the WRF go out far enough? The HREF, I believe, will take us out far enough to see what our dynamics look like. So let's see, total precip. Nope, this is not going to do it. We got to go to Storm Prediction Center to see what it is that they're calculating. Let's see. So where's my Storm Prediction Center tab? Trying to find it. And by the way, Storm Prediction Center doesn't have anything on this just yet. They don't have anything highlighted yet. And I definitely think that they're kind of lagging on this. I think that because of how much consistency we've had in our models since last week, we should probably have something on charts discussing it, but they don't have anything else out there just yet. Where are our forecast models? Forecast tools. The Shref. Here we go. Let's see if we can get into the Shref and take a look at this, because this is going to help us to determine what kind of dynamics we have in play. Instability. Let's go to surface cape and see if we can make it far enough out to see what it is that we're dealing with. So step through it. 12, 13, 14, 15. Nope, never mind. Dang, so nothing goes out far enough. Nothing goes out far enough in order to get a good idea of this. I know earlier the GFS ensembles were not looking too good in terms of our cape for Florida. Florida cape was off the chain when I looked at GFS earlier. Let's go to the southeast United States. It's loading up. If I could step on it, here we go. All right, so, you know, it looks like it's backed off just a little bit, but especially in South Florida, we're getting up into 2,000 joules per kilogram, and then it kind of wraps around a little bit more so into east and central or northeast Florida, closer to Daytona Beach, Jacksonville area. We get a little bit of more of a surge right along the coast into that upper 1,750, 2,000 bracket joules per kilogram of buoyancy. So if I were to start plotting, because I'm definitely going storm chasing this weekend. I already got my rain gear ready to rock. I got my boots ready to go. I ordered some hydro shielding for my engine bay. I'm not passing this opportunity up. We're chasing this weekend. It definitely looks like this is going to be our next tornado event, and I'm not missing it, especially since I am off of work. So preliminary, it definitely looks like South Florida and then East Coast Florida is going to be the hot zones, possibly for some tornadoes. We'll have to see exactly what our high-res models are thinking and what our simulated reflectivity looks like once we get closer to showtime. About 48 to 72 hours out, we can start taking a better glance at what's expected to form up. But let me see if I can switch over to the GEFS. Let's see. What about this? Does this go far enough out? Nope, not even close. Go to the GEFS, the ensembles for that. Let's go to the United States, and let's go to our Cape here. See what 18Z is showing. Yeah, so the ensembles for the GFS have backed off a little bit in our surface buoyancy. Earlier today, it was looking a lot more impressive, like at 0Z, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see, where did it go? I know I saw something out there along the lines of some very, very good Cape. I'm not seeing it right now. I forget which model it was I looked at. Was it the control member of the Cape? Yeah, here we go. The control member of the Cape is definitely showing a lot more of a sinister event. Let me go to 18Z and see what we have at 18 Zulu. Yeah, so lots of good buoyancy. Some of it tries to stay offshore, but again, highlighting South and East Florida especially for our highest surface values. Now, keep in mind, yeah, look at that. That looks crazy. This was 0Z last night. We definitely are up into that 2,000 threshold, which is definitely very crazy to look at. So lots of rain, lots of wind, definitely the tornado potential. We'll know more once we get closer to showtime. But surface Cape is only half the battle when dealing with a system like this, because we have to take into account we have a lot of upper level dynamics in play with this as well. You saw the vorticity, 500 millibar vorticity only gets even worse. If I were to switch over to 500 vorticity, you can still see our two separate systems. We have weaker vorticity in our STJ, but then a stronger shortwave that digs in across the Gulf Coast and again just smacks the living daylights out of Florida. It's going to come right over top of us. So we want to look at not only our surface Cape and our surface buoyancy, but we want to look at our ML Cape or our lifted Cape, our mixing layer Cape, because we're going to have mechanical lift associated with this as well. Not only daytime heating, not only the advection that we see down in the low levels. If we come on over here, this is what I'm a little more concerned about as well. We'll go back to, we'll use the Euro. We'll just use the Euro right here. And we'll go to our temperature anomaly. And this is also what has me concerned about this. Let me switch back over to 12 Zulu. And you look, that's a major warm core low that's going to collide with our cold system that comes off of the United States. You switch over to the GFS, the same time frame, 12 Zulu, and you can see it even more so, more vigorous. Lots of good warm air advection, priming the state right there. So this is Saturday night, actual time, Eastern Standard Time. And you can see lots of incredible warm air advection in the mid-levels, and then we get a nice punch of cold air to wrap around it and replace it. And what I see here, I know this is a bunch of colors to you guys, but what I see here is our warm air, and then our cold air comes in and just, whoop, lifts it up, just scrapes it like a shovel. And with that lift comes condensation and very vigorous updrafts, really good lift. And this is that mechanical lift I was telling you about with the surface front and then our short waves in the upper levels. So we got a little bit of everything going on here. A little bit of everything. I really wish I could find something that goes out far enough in time to encapsulate it, but we're definitely not going to find anything just yet. We're still a little too far out. Little too far out. Yep, none of our mesoscale models are going to catch it just yet, which is a bummer. I'm ready to see exactly what our high-res stuff is thinking so we can start to see exactly what we're working with in terms of a forecasted reflectivity and if our supercell parameters are going to start forming up. Because I would already anticipate we're going to have lots of good wind shear down there. In fact, let's look at our ML. Oh, wait, no, this is the wrong model. We don't want to do that. Let's switch back over. Go to the southeast. We'll look at our mixing layer cape and see what that looks like with the GFS. Yeah, see, so look at this. For our ML cape, and look at that rotational shear. Shear is definitely going to be there. Our mixing layer cape is going to be there. We have good upper level divergence. So yeah, we're going to get a little bit of everything with this. That's definitely what's in the cup. It's just water. I know Carmen's watching, so I'm making sure to hydrate. One of my longtime subscribers, good old Carmen Poole, has definitely instigated I hydrate plenty. But yeah, this right here, this shading, again, south and eastern Florida, that's approaching the 2,000 joules per kilogram of mixing layer cape, which is not good. That's going to be something that we could definitely tap into with all that shortwave propagation we're going to see out of the northwest and out of the southeast or the southwest. It's all going to converge right on Florida. And then it might be very difficult for you guys to see, but we have a really good shear component already. We have very good directional shear. Down at the surface, for example, you can see, well, you can't see it, but we have a white wind barb at 10 knots coming out of the east. Then in the mid-levels, at 850 millibars, we have it southerly at 20 knots. And then at 500 millibars, we have a 50-knot wind barb like this. So we have the winds doing this with height. Lots of rotation. Lots of rotation. So, yeah, this is going to be intense. We definitely got to watch. We're definitely under the gun for our own little severe weather outbreak with this system. Undoubtedly. Undoubtedly. So, yeah. We definitely need to track this one for sure. We cannot let our guard down with this because I'm not liking all the different components that I'm seeing coming together. Even at 12Z. Even at 12Z, very good wind shear, very good directional shear, vector shear with this. In layman's terms, if you guys can't see the wind barbs, if you look, the direction kind of goes like this with height. That's what our winds are doing. Circulating like this. So at one level, you're here. At one level, you're here. At one level, you're here. And then at another level, you're right here. And that's exactly as the updraft lifts. It's exactly what gets them spinning. So too early to tell exactly how significant of a specific tornado event we're going to have, but we're definitely going to have rotation in the atmosphere, especially with those wind speeds and direction changes as you ascend the atmosphere. Definitely looking at some supercellular action. Mesocyclones could definitely take shape in our more organized thunderstorm activity, especially as the storm begins to move its way in. So yeah, game time, folks, and I am most definitely storm chasing this weekend. I got to figure out exactly how I'm going to stream or how I'm going to record, how I'm going to record, but we are 100% in chase mode, just as Dr. Reed Timmer would say. Definitely getting out there, and I'm going to, fly around with these storms as best as I can. I'm even going to fill up my 5-gallon gas tank. Fill up my 5-gallon gas tank so I can have that on tap just in case. And yeah, so here we go. Now we just have to watch and wait. But definitely, definitely going to be a big event for us. I honestly think this is going to come close to what happened in October. We're definitely going to need to pay close attention to this. It could either match what we saw in October or it could even be worse. Is Jacksonville in the clear? No, Jacksonville is not in the clear. Not at all. Like I mentioned earlier, looking at the surface level cape and the mixing layer cape, it's going to be South and East Florida, at least preliminarily. At least from what we're seeing right now, we have no high-res data to back us up. We have to wait a couple more days, but it looks like South and then the east side of Florida is where we're going to see the brunt of this stuff, but there is no ruling out Southwest, and the Tampa area might get involved with this severe weather as well. I'm definitely very, very, very curious to see what Storm Prediction Center stamps with this. And they better go severe. They better. If they do not go severe, I'm going to be pissed. Just as pissed as all the hype we saw during hurricane season, because that is unacceptable. Like I said, they don't have anything highlighted for it right now, which I still think is very bizarre. Very bizarre. You know what? I think we can go out far enough to see some preliminary SKU-T soundings. So let's go to southeast Florida and get some SKU-T data. That's not what I wanted. All right, whatever. Let's go here. We'll go down here, and we'll click right here. All right, never mind. That's not working. Let's go here then, and we'll click right here. There we go. All right, this is 18Z on December 11th. Let's go forward in time. Let's go out 90 hours. 12Z December. Oh, man. So these forecast soundings don't go out far enough. Let's go to the GFS. See if we can go out a little bit further. Here we go. All right, let's go 144 hours out. Submit. And is this going to be game time? This is 18Z on December 11th, valid for 17 December. This might be just a little early. All right, yeah, this is when we're starting to get into the actual event. Now we're definitely in the event. 19 at 0Z. All right, so these don't show nearly as much as I was hoping for. I mean, right here definitely looks pretty intense. So does this. Lots of dry air entrainment in the mid-levels, so that's not good. But not nearly as impressive as I was expecting. D-capes are at 729, which definitely is going to give us some good convective winds off of this. Maybe I'm just in a bad spot in Florida. Probably pick a better station. Dear God. Okay, wow. D-capes are off the chain right here. 1,100 joules per kilogram of D-cape. Those are powerful convective downrushes if we get them. And it's all because of this giant dome of dry air. Pretty steep lapse rate. These lines are following the moist adiabats, that's for sure. So it's a saturated environment. A little bit of directional shear, good speed shear, that's for sure. All right, we'll come back to this at a later time. Good helicity. Relative humidity is a little low. Precipitable waters, upwards of 1.5 inches. We'll check that out at a later time as we get closer to prime time. We definitely could see a loss of power. Now that I see your message, Todd R4824, definitely could see some power outages with this. Most definitely. Let's see, what else can we look at? It's too early to see a lot of the parameters with this, but, I mean, here's your 1,000 to 500 thickness, showing our clear delineation between cold air rushing in on the back side of it and warm air mixing in along the front side of it. So there's your hot zone right there. Right over Florida. Let's see if we can get some simulated infrared with this. Simulated IR. We'll go to GFS, United States, United States. And here we go. Let's see what this looks like. Yeah, this also does an excellent job of showing the two separate features. So there goes what typically gives us our severe weather in the Dixie Alley southeast. And then here comes our next system right here. And you could definitely see the two of them combining one way or another. Very aggressive setup. Very vigorous setup, that's for sure. It's going to blow up right over Florida. See if the Euro can get us out that far. Oh, yeah, here we go. Let's see what the Euro is thinking. Yeah, some very robust thunderstorm activity. There you go. I wish I can zoom in a little bit further than this. Let's see if this will let me. Nope. Let's go to the Gulf of Mexico. That's South America, David. That's the wrong AOI. Central America, Gulf of Mexico. Here we go. Let's get a closer look. So what the Euro is thinking is southwest Florida, South Florida, and then right along the Gulf, not the Gulf Coast, right along the East Coast is where we could get some very, very crazy thunderstorms with this. And then it's gone. Now, I will leave you with some positive info with this because, you know, if we get blasted by this system, and I mean blasted, if we get just schwacked by it, which is what it's kind of looking like is going to happen, this close to Christmas, ultimately this means that Christmas has a higher chance of being very pleasant for us down here. It's just kind of the way the atmosphere ebbs and flows this time of year. Let's see what the 18Z GFS is thinking for Christmas time as well, because I know we go out far enough. So there goes our first system, bam, flying through there, and then... yeah, look at that. Might be warm, unfortunately, according to the GFS, but we're in for some pleasant weather at least. Yeah, so this is a change from what I was seeing earlier. Earlier, I think at 12 Zulu, it had us actually cold. Yeah, see, at 12 Zulu, GFS had us cold for Christmas. Good weather. But regardless... if this pans out and this blows through over this weekend into next week, then we should be in I guess, a neutral point in the environment to where we will have good weather for the Christmas holiday, which means at least for us down here, any kind of traveling or commuting you're going to be doing should be okay, which is good stuff. We just got to metaphorically survive this onslaught that's coming for us this weekend. So, yeah, there you go. Big-time stuff on its way. Very juicy. I'm very curious to see exactly if we have any of the bigwigs in the storm chase community coming on down, because I know we've had a lot of storm chasing going on in Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee, Kentucky. Very, very, very lots of tornado reports. I think over 30 tornado reports since this all started to kick off. Let's go over to the storm reports one more time, just to see. Where are our storm reports? Here we go. So yeah, yesterday we had 4 confirmed tornadoes, and then the day before yesterday we had 40 confirmed tornadoes. So excuse me, more than that. So for a total, we had 44 tornadoes, 71 convective wind reports, 87 reports of damaging hail. So that was a huge severe weather event. Big severe weather event. Oh, excuse me. Now we'll have to see exactly what happens for us. Nothing highlighted yet. Days 4 through 8, nothing highlighted out of the rest of the United States. I do foresee that's going to change very soon. Yeah, not good. Fish. I never knew Florida could get an F5 tornado. It's very possible. So there will be something in the panhandle? Yes, absolutely. Maybe some fish will rain down on the deck. Oh, gosh. Oh, my good Lord. What did I just wake up to? Yeah, Devil Charger, you're a little late, but we're definitely looking at some pretty substantial stuff. This area where I am can get 6 inches or more. Had a drier than normal year due to non-Nino. Blame climate change and urbanization. So Florida be in Tornado Alley now? Well, technically speaking, this time of year, technically, based on climatology, Florida could technically be considered an appendage to the hotspots for tornadic activity, especially as we get into spring. You'll see on a lot of different maps and charts that Florida will be bullseyed for greater than normal tornadic activity. So this isn't too much out of the norm, and this is like our worst case El Nino scenario right here. This shows us that El Nino is rocking and rolling and blasting through, because we don't typically see lows bomb out like they are now in the Gulf and come across Florida except in an El Nino season. So El Nino definitely amps up our tornado potential as well, which is what a lot of folks, a lot of meteorologists and weather media enthusiasts were predicting during hurricane season, that El Nino winter could definitely be just as active as the hurricane season was. Yeah, I'm definitely thinking we're going to have a subtropical thing I'm going to call it that, a thing, try to get its act together, but it's also going to be on a collision course with our polar front jet, and they're going to merge into one. Florida does not get too many to, I got to disagree with you on that one. We definitely get a lot of tornadoes depending on the time of year. It's been statistically proven, as a matter of fact. And the preliminary forecasts for this winter into 2024, we are actually looking at the potential for above-average tornadoes. So we'll have to see how that pans out. But I've definitely seen a number of instances where Florida does have their own little bullseye of an active tornadic period. Usually it's between the months of January to March, but I'm going to say that that's probably deviating because of the way our jet is popping off. Yeah, let's get those likes up. I would appreciate it. Let's get this out there, definitely. Wanted to discuss Prism concert? Yeah, absolutely. Cool dude you live. I just left a comment on the tropics for Florida. Excellent, Eric. Thanks for that. Remember that March 1993 storm? I do. The weather is so bizarre each year now. Yeah, definitely. It's very bizarre. And a lot of folks are, I'm not even stressing it as much, but a lot of folks are definitely becoming very concerned with the next hurricane season. Truthfully, ever since I was in the middle of my school semester, I really haven't been looking too heavily at that since leaving the tropical season. I haven't been looking at it too much right now, but there's a lot of folks out there who are very, very concerned with the next hurricane season. I'm starting to see more and more reports and more articles coming out about that as we speak. Let's see. Don't we get CFS data all the time? We do. Let's see if anything else has changed or if things are looking a little bit more doom and gloom. Climate forecasting system for next year. This is January to, this is weekly. I want monthly. Let me go to monthly. Here we go. So we have 60 today for December 11th. Yeah, I mean, it's still the same song and dance. We've discussed it a few times now on our channel, and we could see an early activation to hurricane season. Maybe not so much June. It does look like we're going to have above-average precip anomalies out there, but July looks like it could be sporty. August could definitely be sporty. September could definitely be sporty. So there's a lot of folks out there starting to get very concerned with the hurricane. Oh, my God. What the? All right, now that's different. That is different. That is definitely different. Now I can see why people are getting concerned. I mean, granted, this is still months and months and months away, but dear God, those temperatures are trending up. And I don't like being all hypey, but like, shit, that's, pardon my language, that's definitely a lot more than what the models were looking at, we'll say like last month in November. Sheesh. That is easily 3 degrees Celsius hotter for the Gulf and the Caribbean for June, July, and into August. September, we're dropping back down into the 1.5, 1.8, almost 2 degrees, but damn. That's definitely different. This, I can see why the models are thinking above average precip for the Gulf, for the Southeast, and the Caribbean. That's dangerous. That's very dangerous. These are source regions that were untapped this year. Next year, our climate models are slowly increasing the temps, so that's not good. That's definitely not good. These are going to be areas firing out storms early and late in the season. All right, what does El Nino look like? What does the El Nino look like, if anything? Wow. Okay, wow. So CFS, as of today, with its newest model data, I'm starting to see why people are getting concerned. I'm definitely, with every update we get week to week, because that's kind of the pace I'm watching this now. I'm not going to watch it every day because, obviously these are Climo models for months into the future. This is looking more La Nina than it is neutral even. I mean, this could still be, looking at the very eastern and central Pacific, right in through here, this could be argued that it's more of a neutral, weak La Nina. But, let's just put it this way. I'm not going to split hairs and look at stuff like this way far out into the future, but I'm definitely not liking the trends. The trends definitely have alarms going off, and I can see why there's a lot of weather enthusiasts out there who are really becoming very concerned with the state of the environment. You see, this part right there is what I'm not a fan of. This is a very bad situation right here. These are all 2 degrees hotter temps right there, and this is all neutral hurricane season right there. Because you need about you need about negative 1.5 and lower than that, colder than that, to be in a La Nina characterization. So this right here, most of these numerical values and these anomalies here are anywhere between 0, which is the average, to about, we'll say, -1. So we're definitely looking at a neutral, low-end La Nina for next hurricane season between July and August especially. And July and August, we're looking at some very hot sea surface temps, which means that they're only going to be supplemented by very, very intense ocean heat content. And we know from this year, even though El Nino saved our butts, that's for sure, we had a lot of hot water just waiting to be used up in the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico. So yeah, I'm going to say it right now. If you guys are not subscribed to the YouTube channel and you want information and you need information, you should need and want information, please hit that subscribe button now, because it looks like we're going to be working nonstop through the El Nino into next hurricane season. And next hurricane season might throw us for a curveball as soon as we open up the hurricane season. Hydrate, those words will dry your mouth out. Yeah, I know. The storms here in Florida were pretty intense for the first part of the summer, really dropped off for 4 months. I take photos and videos of lightning. I think I captured 3 storms, super low. Yeah, I noticed that. We were having very good sea breeze activity before El Nino really fired up, and then it's like it shut down. We had some very, very good activity that would surge west to east, and then that was it. After that, it kind of just petered out. Wow, those water are going to be warm. Definitely a neutral or to La Nina season always brings the worst storms each time. DPK, I agree. Still is dry. Yesterday barely rained. These so-called rainstorms are pathetic. Where do you live? Do you have a force field over your house? Because I was driving home in the same squall line that nailed everybody. Everybody definitely saw some very hellacious weather. I know that the Tampa area, because I had somebody out there who messaged me on Instagram who lives in West Florida and mentioned that they got some really, really good thunderstorms and heavy rainfall as that squall line came through. We are about to enter a strong El Nino. It's close to 2 degrees above average. Yeah, which has me very concerned because we already have the jet orienting itself in a similar, not a similar fashion, but we have the jet taking on that textbook strong El Nino direction. If you look over here, we'll go to our 250 millibars. And we go through time, look at that subtropical jet. Now I do think as we continue to go through time, we're going to start seeing more of these storm systems hitting us in Florida. Because if you look, we have that more west to east, especially right here. This is a great example. Look at that west to east component in our STJ right there. So mid to late December, we're definitely going to be in 100% all 10 cylinders El Nino, undoubtedly. So I think we're definitely going to have to start monitoring the rest of December into January. I believe I saw somewhere that this is interesting, guys. Let's go over to the CFS real quick. On this website, we'll use College of DuPage, because this does a great job of showing it. And check this out. So get out of the way. I don't want this in the way. There we go. So this is our CFS. Here comes our first system right there. You can see that big old system blowing up for Florida, hitting the panhandle. According to the CFS, I don't think that's exactly what's going to happen. You don't want to track systems specifically with the climate forecasting system. This is more so for environmental conditions, but then watch this. So as I told you guys earlier in the stream, Christmas time looks pretty good. There's the 24th. There's the 25th. Still looking good. Lots of warm air advection. Then watch this. As we get towards the very tail end of the month, we get another possible low system down there forming up, and then another one, and then another one right after that. And in fact, this is 12Z. 0Z looked a little worse than this. 0Z definitely had more storm systems coming across. So there's that one, and then here's that one, and then we have this one forming up, and then we have this in the Gulf right there, and then another one forming. Yeah, so it goes without saying, this is January 13th, so about a month away, but nonetheless, I definitely do think we're going to start to see more of our west to east systems just spilling across the Gulf Coast, hitting Florida head on. So, yeah, we're going to have our work cut out for us, definitely. Daha, thanks for taking your time for this and sharing your knowledge. Absolutely, man. That's what I'm here for sure. Awesome. Thank you, Ethan. El Nina. Yeah, it's La Nina. I did see somebody correct you, but yeah, it's La Nina. We have El Nino, little boy, and then we have little girl or girl La Nina for what's bad for the Atlantic. We had normal rain, but nothing big. I've driven through worse. Oh, that's interesting. I don't know what happened unless we're downplaying the storms. Because I know yesterday I was driving on I-4 and it was miserable. I even shared it on my Instagram. But, oh well. I mean, everybody else is getting slammed. I'm going storm chasing this week, that's for sure. To me, hurricanes that hit land in July and August are worse than late season hurricanes because July and August hurricanes have a whole lot of energy like Cape to work with. I do agree with that, April. Yes, I absolutely do agree with that. And I do think, I honestly, my preliminary prediction, this is extremely rough, extremely preliminary, but I do think that something's going to sneak up on us between the months of July and August for Florida. My gut is telling me July and August, we have to watch here in Florida. We're going to have something big, and we may have something bigger as we get through late August and into September. That's just what my sixth sense is thinking. That's my very, very rough, all Twister sniffing the dirt kind of prediction. No science behind that. No science whatsoever. I just have this feeling that July and August we're going to have to watch, mid to late July into early August, and then sometime in September, if not late August, we're going to have to watch again here in Central Florida. Oh, no, yeah, I know it's been historically dry. It's been dry for everybody, that's for sure. I just don't understand how you guys missed the action when we had a definitive squall line roll through yesterday, like a textbook squall line. Where's my phone at? I think I have screenshots still saved. Let's see. Where are we at? Ah, shucks, I think I deleted them, actually. I just did a quick purge on my phone. No, here we go. So very early, but look at that squall line coming straight for the west coast of Florida. I don't know how you guys dodge that. Really good heavy rain along the leading edge of that, which is why the Euro was garbage in this weather event. Totally garbage. 0.2 inches of rain for most of the state. Hell no. What are you talking about? A lot of us interior Florida saw 1 inch for sure. People are going to hype and say it's going to be a tropical storm. You talking about this system right now, Corbin? I-4 is miserable unless it's 3 a.m. no matter the weather. Yeah, I agree. I try to avoid I-4 altogether as much as I possibly can. Maybe parts of the line were breaking up as it was moving through. It definitely started It definitely started breaking up through Florida, that's for sure. By the time it made it to the East Coast, there were very, very good delineations between just residual shower activity behind it and whatchamacallit. Still not a pronounced leading edge, but some stuff petering out as it moved off into the Gulf Stream. Man, do I trust Nazaria's spidey senses. I appreciate that. Everyone from Upper Tampa Bay. Kevin, welcome in. Good to see you. Join at the last second. We're going to be getting ready to wrap up the stream. But all right, guys. So, quick recap. Big weather event for us this weekend, specifically us here in Florida. We definitely have to keep an eye on the trends and watch what happens and see exactly what comes to fruition with this. And you know what? I'm going to do something silly. Let's see if the Euro thinks there's anything tropical with this system. Oh, look at that. Whoa. We got some tropical depression probabilities off the southeast that go right up into the same general area that Lee hit. Oh, you know what? One thing I didn't look at earlier was the control MSLP for the European model. I did want to see that. I did want to see what the Euro is thinking. We'll go to United States and let's see 12 Zulu. Yeah, so a pretty good low hitting South Florida, at least according to our control MSLP. What does the GFS ensemble? What do the GFS ensemble show? Let's go to Gulf of Mexico. Some of these are looking very hurricane-ish, and I know that's not the case here, but that just goes to show you how strong these systems are thinking. Like, look at this one right here. The E1 ensemble goes all the way down to sub 980 millibars as it moves off the east coast of Florida. Now, again, take these with a grain of salt. These are just our individual ensembles with the GFS. But some of these bad boys, even the control member is showing a very, very good low cyclone forming up. Look at this one. E15 has a 960 millibar cyclone off of the Carolina coast on Monday afternoon. So, goes without saying, we have a lot of work to do and a lot of stuff to catch up with as we move through the next few days. And I think by Thursday, Friday, we'll get a really good indication of if this is going to be a Saturday into Sunday event or if the Euro is actually right in its timing and we're going to be more of a early Sunday through to Monday event, which I'm hoping it's during the daytime. I really am, so I can get out there and do some recording and some chasing. The 18th is looking like it could be very intense for us in Florida. Definitely looking very intense for us in Florida on the 18th. Let's go back to the Southeast GFS. So there's the 18th, the back side of it. And this is the GFS that moves it a little bit faster. If you go to the Euro, the 18th is looking a little bit more miserable. And then it clears out once we get into the backside of it Monday night into Tuesday. So the 18th is looking like a no bueno. Oh, and Louisiana, never mind. The 18th is looking good for whatchamacallit. 18th is looking good for Louisiana. Might have some shower activity with that system moving through that's going to merge with our system in the southeast or the extreme southeast. But then the 18th is looking just fine. Not expecting much rain, too early to speculate. I don't know if it's too early to speculate. I would say if we were still 2 weeks out like some of our other forecasts, it'd be way too early. But in this case, we're about 5 days away from showtime. So this is when our models are going to start getting even more accurate. Like from tonight forward, our models are only going to get better. And I mean, unless we see a gigantic break in continuity across every single one of our models and our ensembles, I don't think much is going to be changing. And it definitely looks like the central and southeastern half, where I have this little pink line, is where we're going to see some very, very, very strong rains, very strong storms. And again, I'm just feverishly waiting for our high-res data to start to populate because I really want to start nailing down exactly where it is. I'm not only going to go storm chasing, but where our most prevalent isolated threats of very bad weather are going to be. So I think we're going to have a mix of everything. I think we're going to have definitely a mix of all different types of weather phenomena. Very isolated instances of hail possible, very good winds, localized flooding, heavy rain, and some tornadoes. I definitely think so. I definitely think tornadoes are in the mix. We saw it back in October, and we had a less organized system move through in October. So we definitely need to watch. And, that's another thing. National Weather Service forecast, not too exciting. 40% chance 40% rain in the highest chance. Well, for that local area, it might be different, but I'm going with what I'm seeing here. I'm forecasting that we're going to get hit hard along the East Coast and in the South. Those are the two main areas that need to watch closely. I'm definitely ready for next hurricane season as well. Next hurricane season, I feel like I'm going to need a lot of energy drinks. Last night we had thunder in the distance and a smattering of rain. National Weather Service alarms went off the storms off the coast. Yeah. The GFS has that low pressure cutting through Georgia and south after making landfall in Florida. Yes, correct, April. I agree. GFS has definitely been just as sinister as the Euro. Like, we're actually looking real good in terms of what our models are thinking consistency-wise. So now we're just playing the waiting game. We'll definitely have to watch and see. This does not look good, though. This definitely does not look good. This has my antenna all the way up. This is 2 p.m. on Saturday, according to the GFS. About 8 p.m. on Saturday, and then overnight Sunday. Moving right through the southeast and into the mid-Atlantic. There's our total accumulation according to the GFS, looking at an average threshold of about 4 to 6 inches across the peninsula, especially along the East Coast. Could be a little higher. This is for GFS. Euro, I think, says a bit more of a concentration in the south and along the East Coast. Based on where that low tracks. Yeah, there you go. You can see a nice delineation between where it is our heaviest stuff is going to be. Upwards of 10 inches in the east and the southeast. And then again, average being 4 to 5, maybe 6 inches for parts of Polk, Osceola, and Orlando. I'm thinking those areas, depending on where this low shakes out and how it moves, South and East Florida is going to be the prime time locations for chasing. I'm hoping to God that I'm finally going to witness a bona fide tornado and capture it on film. We're going to go after it to our heart's content as best as we can. And hope as well that traffic isn't going to jack us up, because that's my biggest concern when chasing in Florida is the traffic. Traffic's going to be miserable. It's always miserable around here. I missed an opportunity to chase an F1 tornado that hit Lake Wales area back in July, I think it was. June? Maybe it was June. It was June. And, of course, traffic is the only thing that slowed me down. So, we'll see. I'm hoping to take you guys along for the ride, but it is now officially 9 o'clock at night. We are an hour and 2 minutes into the stream, folks, so we're going to start wrapping up. We will definitely continue to discuss, and I will continue to update you guys as we go through the week. I'm not sure if I'm going to update daily with videos or if we're going to do live streams day to day, or, we'll see what happens. But definitely a lot to cover this week, and I'm excited and definitely very curious to see what continues to unfold as we go over the next 72, 96 hours, because those are going to be pivotal for sure. Dude, I'm with you. I always said my first tornado would be my last because I would too close. Oh, yeah, hopefully not. Do we know what direction the wind will be coming from? So early on, it's going to be coming out of the south and the east, coming across the state. Like if you imagine this is the Florida Peninsula swooping across with the flow of that low, but it's definitely going to also determine, or it's going to be determined with where that low tracks. If it moves a little further to the west and up to the north, then it's going to be more of an east to a southerly component most of the time. If it follows what the Euro is thinking, hitting the southern portion of the peninsula and moving up the Space Coast, it'll be easterly at first, and it'll turn more northeasterly, if not northerly, as it moves through. So East Coast is definitely going to have some beach erosion. It's definitely going to have some very good swell, some good wave heights. So no little severe entity mixed into this. You definitely don't want to go to the beach this weekend, which sucks because I actually wanted to do a fishing trip. So hopefully the Euro pans out and we can at least see a good Saturday morning so I can go drop a line real quick and then get ready to go storm chasing. So we'll see, guys. But we will go ahead and wrap up we'll see you guys again very soon. Please subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. Like this live stream and like the video I posted earlier. Thank you all for the support. Thank you all for your continued support, those of you who've been following along since Hurricane Idalia when we kicked the channel off. If you have any comments or questions, please drop them in the comment section of this live stream or my video that I posted earlier today, and drop me a line on TikTok, by the way. Getting very active on TikTok. We are growing on TikTok, thankfully. Trying to supplement TikTok with my YouTube. Oh, and look at that. As a matter of fact, we just got another 7 followers on TikTok. Look at that. We're already approaching 200 now on TikTok. So if you guys do not follow me on TikTok or Instagram, I will drop my line in the chat. It is going to be a WXCenter_Nazario. For my Instagram and TikTok. I post all the time on both, and that's the reason I'm plugging these in more so, guys. Not for the followers or anything, but outside of YouTube, TikTok and Instagram is where I post daily, if not multiple times in one day. That's where a lot of my stuff is always going to be popping off. So if you need active information and you need things answered or updates on the spot, definitely tune into my other social media sources, because I'll have your back every step of the way, for sure. Mick and Marley, that's okay. I get the UGG. I'm still struggling to get used to TikTok, but you know what? I'm noticing it's a great supplemental platform for YouTube. So I might lean on TikTok and Instagram a little bit more as we go through the non-hurricane season, and then ramp everything up once we get into next hurricane season. So that's kind of how I'm playing the game right now. And we'll see. We'll see exactly where we continue to go. But, all right, folks, thank you for watching. We'll see you again next time. Have a great rest of your evening. Thank you so much for being such a lovely group. It's been a wonderful evening talking to you guys. And definitely have a lot more in store. We definitely have a lot more in store. This might be one of many big systems for us here in Florida as we go over the next couple of months. So, TBD. We'll definitely see what happens. Until next time, guys. And no, PM, I do not have a Twitter/X yet. I still need to work on that. I'm almost there. I promise I'm going to bite that bullet soon, but I know I need to get on there as well. It's a work in progress, a WIP. But all right, guys, thank you very much for taking some time out of your Monday evening. I do genuinely appreciate it, and I can't wait to meet again very soon, guys. This is Weather Center Nazario, signing out.